the New York Post got a hold of some Hunter Biden emails. They are Hunter Biden's emails. Now, everybody in the establishment media and the Democrats are trying to lie to you and gaslight you, trying to say that that's not true, that's Russian disinformation. They have absolutely no evidence. All the evidence points the other way. They have no evidence to say that, but they're saying it. Here it is. There it is. And here is Chris Murphy, senator from Connecticut, Democrat. Joe Biden and all of us should be furious that media outlets are spreading what is very likely Russia propaganda. He has no evidence for that. They just say it. So you remember Twitter was banning the New York Post article on Hunter Biden's emails. They banned it. If you tried to share it, they would shut your thing down because they said it wasn't sourced. What source is this? There's no source. There's no source on that. He's just making that up. I've seen the intel. No, you haven't. The mainstreaming of misinformation in Russia's 2020 goal. Here's what we know and why we can't take it lying down. Ah, yes, everything I don't like must be Russian. It's like the old song from the radio where you're just like, geez, they're still playing this? You're like, wow, they're still playing that? They're still doing this. Hunter Biden emails have nothing to do with Russian disinformation, National Intelligence Director says. So there's your intelligence community. So when Trump doesn't agree with the intelligence community, he's a crazy wacko traitor. But when the Democrats don't agree with our intelligence community, it's because of Russia. They're good Americans. Isn't that interesting? And by the way, did we really need the National Director of Intelligence to tell us that Russia had nothing to do with this? We did not. You could have just asked me or Aaron Mate. Or how about Glenn Greenwald? He tweets out Chris Murphy and he says, does it matter if Hunter Biden's emails are, true? If they're not true, and if they're forgeries, why hasn't Hunter or Biden campaign said so? Which, of course, they would. But they haven't done that. You know why? Because those are real emails. And Chris Murphy is pushing a conspiracy theory. And so is the media. Again, we're debunking conspiracies at the Jimmy Dore Show, and the mainstream news media pushes them. But if you go to Wikipedia, it'll tell you the exact opposite. Because Wikipedia is an extension of their surveillance state in the intelligence community. That's what Wikipedia is. It's run by the intelligence community. And that's why they say black is white and up is down, and why Wikipedia is fucking garbage. And if they are real, meaning the emails, Hunter's emails, how is that not a legitimate story to report? It is a legitimate story. And Chris Murphy is a conspiracy theorist, just like the rest of the Democrats, and everybody at MSNBC, the New York Times, Washington Post, and CNN. Here's Joe Biden being asked about this by a reporter.
And Mr. Biden, what is your response to the New York Post story about your son, sir?
I know you'd ask it. I have no response. It's another smear campaign. Right up your alley. They're the questions you always ask.
And did you...
So what he does is attack the reporter. The reporter asks him a legitimate question, and all he has to do is deny it. Why doesn't he go, that's not a true story? He's not doing that. He's attacking the journalist for asking the question. That's what Trump would do. By the way, this is his version of, remember he told the Hispanic guy, go vote for Trump? This is him telling the reporter, go vote Trump. So he won't disavow the story, but he will wag his finger at a journalist, just like Trump. This guy's better than Trump? Who's being naive, Kay? Joe Biden's going to get elected, and you have a bigger problem the next day, because that is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and everybody on the left is going to go to sleep, and they're going to do what they're doing now. No, Joe Biden isn't really doing horrible shit. He isn't ramping up the military budget. That's Russian disinformation. He isn't screwing you out of health care. That's Russian disinformation. Joe Biden isn't helping Wall Street screw you again. That's Russian disinformation. How long are they going to do this? Because Joe Biden is going to screw you hard for 4 years straight. 4 years straight, he's going to screw you as hard as possible.
Oh, come on, Jimmy. When he's elected, we'll be able, that's the time.
When you can push him left.
Yes, we'll be able to push him left.
Here's what Paula Reed says. Biden adopts Trump's playbook, attacking pool reporter for asking about Hunter Biden's story, which has been a focus of President Trump's campaign over the past few days. Fine to attack the story, but why personally insult the reporter? Because that's what Joe Biden does. That's him bringing decency back to America. By the way, Joe Biden's his administration prosecuted journalists way more than Donald Trump's did. Used the Espionage Act to prosecute whistleblowers and journalists. Is that standing in the light, Rolling Stone, you garbage organization? What a garbage paper. Here's Neera Tanden. Here's Neera, everybody's friend Tanden. How are you all circling the wagons instead of being embarrassed for peddling Russian ops 18 days before the election? It's not enough that you all haven't learned from your atrocious handling of the 2016. You are doubling down. Truly incredible. It's kind of because everything she says, she must be saying that to a mirror.
Right.
Because that's exactly what they're doing. They're putting up a worse candidate than Hillary Clinton and blaming the Russians again. The media in most of Europe is so much more responsible than American media. After 2016, I thought they would behave more responsibly. It's incredibly depressing that they are doing Russia's bidding again. The rest of the world doesn't do Russiagate. The Democratic Party hacks and many of their media allies like Neera Tanden genuinely believe it's immoral to report or even discuss stories that reflect poorly on Biden. In reality, it's the responsibility of journalists to ignore their vapid whining and ask about newsworthy stories, even about Biden. That's a pretty bold to suggest journalists should just be committed to the truth and not have an agenda, Glenn. That's pretty radical. Not even Hunter or the Biden campaign claims the emails are forgeries, which they'd obviously do if they were forgeries. And they're not doing that. And of course, it's relevant whether Biden's son tried or in fact succeeded in getting his dad to do his dirty work in Ukraine for cash. Not cataclysmic, but it is newsworthy. A journalist's credibility does not depend on how popular they are among Democratic partisans. Craving that popularity is almost certain to lead journalists into corrupted realms. Enduring and dismissing partisan Twitter attacks is a necessary part of being a good journalist. You should go to my Twitter feed. There's lots of hacks that come at me all the time. That's how I know I'm doing something. When you get the hacks, Democratic hack apologists that attack me, that's how you know you're doing something right. When Blue Check Hollywood attacks you, that's how you know you're doing something right. By the way, this is from 2008 in the New York Times, when they still would report on Joe Biden. Oh, Biden aides defend banks pay to Biden's son. That's from 2008. Obama aides defend banks pay to Biden's son. Let's go look at that story. During the years that Joe Biden was helping the credit card industry win passage of a law making it harder for consumers to file for bankruptcy protection.
Oh, is that to help people?
His son had a consulting agreement that lasted 5 years with one of the largest companies pushing for those changes. Aides to Barack Obama's presidential campaign acknowledged on Sunday. Hunter Biden, who works as both a lawyer and a lobbyist in Washington, a company official described him as having a $100,000 a year retainer. Mr. Biden's son, Hunter, received consulting fees from the MBNA Corporation from 2001 to 2005 for work on online banking issues. Online banking issues. Hey, does your password work? Yeah. Okay, here's $100,000. The financial services industry began seeking relief from Congress in the mid-1990s from an increase in bankruptcies that was cutting into its profits. Biden was one of the first Democratic leaders to support the bankruptcy bill, and he voted for it 4 times. The bankruptcy bill that screwed people, not helped them. Joe Biden was the first guy to be for a bankruptcy bill that screwed people in bankruptcy, not helped them. He voted for it 4 times, and in March 2005, when its final version passed the Senate with Biden's vote. Biden helped defeat amendments aimed at strengthening protections for people forced into bankruptcy who have large medical debts or are in the military. That's what Joe Biden did. This is from 2008. Joe Biden did this. Does this sound exactly like Trump? Except Trump probably wouldn't do that to the people in the military. Biden was one of 4 Democrats who sided with Republicans to defeat an effort to protect debtors from the predatory lenders who helped push them into bankruptcy. That's Joe Biden.
And he's going to have Republicans in his cabinet. I wonder how that's going to work out for us.
This is your antidote to... Do you know why you got Trump now, you assholes? This is why you got Trump, you Rolling Stone pieces of garbage. Now you know why you got Donald Trump? It's amazing to see. It's amazing to see people on the left doing McCarthy smearing, doing saber rattling, ramping up a Cold War, and now pushing conspiracy theories to protect a corrupt corporate politician. That's a conspiracy theory that the Russians had something to do with these emails. That's an evidence-free conspiracy theory. Conspiracies happen all the time. That's an evidence-free conspiracy theory. Why do you think the Democrats don't go harder against Donald Trump for his sons using that office to line their pockets? Why do you think the Democrats don't do that? Why do you think it is that they don't go after him for the emollients clause? Why do you think that is? The Democrats don't go after Donald Trump and his family for lining their pockets while they're in government. It's because they're doing it. That's why. You know, Joe Biden has made $15 million since he left the presidency. Just a regular guy. Joe Biden, who has no skills. He made $15 million since he left the presidency. Barack Obama lives on a 48-acre estate on Martha's Vineyard. He bought it from the guy who owned the Boston Celtics. Barack Obama, regular community organizer. So now you know why the Democrats couldn't impeach him on his corruption, Donald Trump, and they had to do over a phone call to the Ukraine. Because they're guilty of it too. And you're all suckers and chumps if you think voting for Joe Biden makes anything better. You are dumb on purpose. Suckers and chumps. You've got a bigger problem when Joe Biden becomes president because now everybody's going to go to sleep. And that's when you're going to get a real fucking revolution because people are going to be hurting and he ain't going to do shit. And everybody's going to be running interference for him. Everybody like Rachel Maddow, half of YouTube, CNN, the New York Times, Washington Post, Rolling Stone. Congratulations, Democrats. You did it again. Hey, everybody. This is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you to join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video.